R&B diva, Tammy Terrell. She's up next. Let's talk. What's up, everybody, and welcome back over here. Welcome back to Pepe's Point of View. I'm your R&B historian, your host, Pepe. Well, let's finish up talking about R&B diva Tammy Terrell. As I mentioned in part one, how I came across Tammy Terrell was just simply wanting to hear her music, questioned if she ever recorded an album by herself, discovered that an album was released after her passing titled Irresistible. And I said, okay, let me check this out. Let me give it a listen. What I am finding out about this album, obviously from the review I just did on part one, these were unreleased tracks that I'm going to assume was never, that they were shelved, obviously. And in my mind, I'm saying to myself, okay, why were they shelved? And the only reason that I could think of that maybe they were shelved was because, record companies obviously didn't think that they were, hit material, to release by her. Now, upon listening to the album, and here's where I'm going with this. I'm going with this by that album itself. Do you understand what I'm going? And then I will let you know how I pulled in the other albums, because what I did was I listened to the Irresistible album, I listened to the United album, I listened to You All I Need album, and the Easy album. So I will be covering all of Tammy Terrell's material in this particular video. So upon listening to that album alone, Irresistible, with having heard, Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Your Precious Love, You're All I Need to Get By, so on and so forth, I was hoping that I would hear those kinds of songs on the Irresistible album, but it's just simply not the case, you guys. It definitely isn't. However, there were some, I guess you want to call highlights on the album. Songs such as I Can't Believe You Love Me, That's What Boys Are Made For, Tears at the End of a Love Affair. That song was on repeat. I'm going to repeat it. That song was on repeat. I definitely, after hearing that song for the first time, played that song several times over, okay? Because I love it. It's one of my favorite songs, Tears at the End of a Love Affair. And Hold Me, Oh My Darling is a great song as well. But I didn't find, except for Tears at the End of a Love Affair, that's the only song to me that I think is actually a good song on the album. And as I'm listening to it, I'm getting the feel. Well, let me change that. Let's stick with the review. There were some similarities in these songs that I found in other songs, I guess, that was released by Motown artists. For example, the songs That's What Boys Are Made For, to me, sound like a song that Diana Ross and the Supremes could easily record. I thought that. The song definitely gave me what I would call that red light special kind of song Uh, you know, I thought the song "He's the One I Love" was straight up a Temptation song. It gave me the feel of Papa Was a Rolling Stone. That track from Papa Was a Rolling Stone, the introduction, um, they're similar. A song called "Can't Stop Now," "Love Is Calling," reminded me of the Supremes. "You Can't Hurry Love." Now, what I'm finding when I was listening to this album, her Irresistible album, I'm like something is missing as I'm listening to it because she's such a has such a fantastic voice, right? So she's a great singer. But as I'm listening to the Irresistible album, the material on that album, I'm like, there's a disconnect here. Something is missing, and it is. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's not the production. The production is good. I like the production on this album. I was like, well, it's not uh, Tammy vocally. She has a great voice. So as I'm listening to it, I'm like, but something's missing, something's missing, something's missing. And then it hit me. There's something on this album that is not gelling together, which could easily be the reason why these were unreleased songs and that they were shelved by Motown. And I think I know why. When I hear Tammy's voice, and obviously Tammy is in her, let's say, late teens, early 20s, all right? So I'm like, it's her voice, it's the material, the lyrical content, it's her age. And I'm finding that the songs on the Irresistible album are just too mature. Like the things that she's singing about. And I'm like, that's the disconnect for me. I mean, it's just the titles alone. I Can't Believe You Love Me. That's what boys are made for. Come On and See Me. What a good man he is. Tears at the End of a Love Affair. He's the one I love. Just Too Much to Hope For. I Can't Go On Without You. These obviously are mature titles with mature content, lyrical content, and I'm like, that's the disconnect for me. And I was like, okay, I got it. It's just too adult for Tammy. The other thing that I was thinking about when I was listening to the Irresistible album, I'm like, but I'm still missing something. Why is it that I can't get into this album like, the United album or You're All I Need album? Like, what is it? There's a disconnect. Then I was like, I get it, Peppy. I know what the disconnect is. The disconnect, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys out there, not only are the songs too mature for her, I think also, well, they're not hits. They're not pop songs. When you think about a song like uh Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing, Your Precious Love, You're All I Need to Get By. These songs are, the title in itself sounds kind of popular, right? That the title people can easily identify with. Like, I give you an example, like Papa Was a Rolling Stone. Um, uh, You Can't Hurry Love. You see, just the titles in it and of itself are just catchy titles. And these titles on the Irresistible album, these songs on the Irresistible albums, they they don't compare even with the titles of her work with Marvin Gaye. Then I am listening to her, right? The Irresistible album, and Marvin Gaye is not present. And then I'm saying, like, oh, I think it's because of Marvin Gaye too. I'm listening, wanting to get that groove that only Marvin can deliver. on the track as well. And so that's it. I think that that's pretty much the disconnect. And maybe that's the reason why, you know, I read in the article that maybe the record company, Motown, didn't um, put much backing on the album after she passed, but also too maybe people heard the album and they were just missing the things that I just talked about, those catchy titles, and as well as Marvin Gaye's absence, on the album, and maybe that too disinterested her fans. It was kind of like, I was so used to you um, recording with him, to see that it's a recording without him. It was like, okay, yeah, well, we can take it, we can leave it, so on and so forth. Uh-huh. And so that's another thing that I think that is missing. Overall, in general, I still say that it's a great album, Irresistible. I would say that this is one probably for her fans, but again, it's definitely not giving you the bubblegum pop music that Motown would eventually become known for, and those catchy, titles. It's just not there. Or, okay, another example would be Love is Like an Itching in My Heart, right? Just the title alone makes you want to go like, hey, that's a catchy title. You know, that would make people even, want to listen. Just the title, like, yeah, I can hear that, you know. But anyway, so that then made me want to go and listen to her work now with Marvin Gaye. And listening to her work with Marvin Gaye, you can say this is pretty much where the meat and potatoes are. And her first album with him, United, again, my favorite songs on the album, and I can just tell you right now, for the United album would be Ain't No Mountain High Enough, If I Could Build My Whole World Around You, Something Stupid, Your Precious Love, Hold Me Oh My Darling, and Two Can Have a Party. Now, when I'm listening to the album, obviously I'm listening to the album, and the first thing that is coming up listening to the album is that I'm gonna have to go back and listen to Marvin Gaye. So the next Soul Man I cover will probably be Marvin Gaye. And I'm listening to Marvin Gaye sings, and Marvin Gaye, at the end of the day, Marvin Gaye is one soul singing brother. I'm listening to him and I'm like, whoa, like this brother can really and truly sing his behind off, right? Now, some of you out there, if you're, to reach this part, you're probably saying, well, duh, yeah, what do you mean? How did you, that's nothing new. Like, I know you don't think, you're something special because you're saying Marvin Gaye is one soul singing brother. Mm-mm. We all know that. But what threw me was the fact of how he's singing. Because when I hear, let's say, talk about the What's Going On album, right? When I think about sexual healing, when I hear him singing those songs, he's not singing the same style as he's singing with Tammy Terrell on these songs. He's just not doing it. And I'm like, why? What made him sing? I don't know if he's talking. I don't want to call it talk scene like, the sexual healing. Uh, is he using his falsetto with songs with What's Going On album? But it's not this style of singing, and that's another thing that I liked about this album with Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, the United album. Marvin Gaye is definitely singing, which then makes me want to discuss something else. Oh gosh, oh gosh, yeah. Sometimes you just got to. You don't know how people are going to take certain things. All right, y'all ready? It's not that Tammy Terrell is not a good singer. She is. I would say that Marvin Gaye in this duo brings the charisma, the personality. He brings he he brings out something in Tammy Terrell that Tammy Terrell has, but she doesn't know she has. you know, and I'm not saying that she lacks a personality, but I guess that's what I'm saying. But something is missing. Something definitely is missing when she's singing by herself, you know. And I'm not saying that it isn't good, but some people just have, I'm not going to say the it factor, but because I think she has the it factor, but there's something about her singing. It's to me, I think she's just it's a great voice behind a microphone. She sounds good, she looks good. I think we can get some hits out of her, right? And it appears to me by herself she's a hit or a miss. Versus someone like Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye is like, ooh, you know what I'm saying, when he's with her, because he definitely brings something out of her. Now I'm all over the place, but let's just go with this flow then. I have to go wherever I'm going. But then when I think about the third album, Easy, right? Something is missing with that album, the third album. Because what I just said about Marvin Gaye having that personality, he is shining. Whatever it is, he's bringing out of Tammy Terrell. But then I'm like, but wait a minute, that chemistry is missing on the Easy album. Then I have to stop and I have to say to myself, I would say, well, why is it missing? Because I looked, and credits can be different, depending on where you're looking them up and who is putting the credits on the putting up the credits. Some people don't necessarily, oh gosh. Oh gosh, please don't tell me this stopped. Hold on. I think I'm having some issues here, you guys. I don't know if it just stopped. I'm trying to pull something up. Sorry about that. Um, but depending on who put the credits up, I'm trying to find something here real quick, and it's probably going to prove my point. Hold on. I'm talking about the Easy album. That's where I'm going, but I'm looking for something. I'm trying to find some credits on the Easy album. Well, for the Easy album, the same uh, uh, band, the same background singers for the most part, the same people appear. So I don't know then what it is that's going to be the disconnect for the Easy album. It just isn't there. And it's not that hard hitting music that we're used to on the United and the You're All I Need album. It's just not there for the Easy album. It just isn't. Now, could it also be the fact that all the material on the Easy album is written by Ashford and Simpson? Could it be that as well? Could it be that that's what's missing? That some of the songs that I am definitely liking are not always the Ashford and Simpson material, which it is what it is. Even though I'm a fan of Ashford and Simpson, it's like I said, it's just not the hard hitting material that I'm just so used to and accustomed to. Now, Having said all of that, I'm looking at something. What happened? Why did it? Okay, I give you a prime example for the "You're All I Need" album. Songs such as "You Ain't Living Until You're Loving," "Give In," "You Just Can't Win," and when your love comes knocking at my heart." They are definitely singing their behinds off on these songs. Those songs right there that I just mentioned on the second album, Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell are definitely doing some down home singing that I just love. I'm like, this is it. They are definitely, having fun and feeling themselves on these particular songs. Not to necessarily say that they're the better songs on the album, but for me, vocally, they are the better songs on the album, and they're definitely finding their groove and having fun on the album. But but it's just missing. It just leaves you wanting more. And like I said, the Easy album is definitely not an easy listen to. I'm sorry, it just isn't. Now there is another song on the album. Hold on, you guys. It's the third album. Remember what I mentioned to you guys about Marvin Gaye in his singing style, and on the album like "Sexual Healing" and the "What's Going On" album. It looks like his first attempt at trying to make a record in that style shows up on the song "Love Woke Me Up This Morning," but it sounds kind of forced to me. When I hear it, I'm like, huh? It just seems so awkwardly placed. Like, okay, you're gonna try to make a record that sounds like that. It sounds like it's just totally out of place on the album. Didn't care too much for that one as well. So let me get a brief recap, if you will, so that I can kind of pull it all together, because it seems like I'm kind of all over the place because I didn't approach it the way that I wanted to approach it. So the first thing is first. Tammy Terrell, wonderful, great singer. Uh, and she has the voice, obviously. All she pretty much need is the right material. Or I would say in this case, maybe the right image. Maybe she does have the right image. It's just that trying to find the song and the style of song that best fits her. You're really and truly not quite sure. But now I have a question. If anybody can answer this question for me, now I'm beginning to wonder who decided to team these two up together. Maybe I have answered my question and don't even know it. Maybe I've answered my question because, Barry Gordy or someone could have the same questions that I have. Like, yeah, she sounds great. She looks good. We know she can do it. But we need something to bring her out of her shell. And could it be that Marvin Gaye is just a perfect match for her to do it? Because think about it, they could have easily got some female singers, right, to sing behind her, and it could be Tammy Terrell and the Terrells. I know. She could have easily been in, a girl group, or or the Terrells could, or be the male background singers. Do you see what I'm saying? But for whatever reason, a duet was, the theme for her, and it worked perfectly, for them. It is what it is. So I think I probably answered my question. Maybe what I'm thinking about is what they, the executives at Motown at the time decided for her as well. Whew. So then, like as I said, you have Marvin Gaye coming into the picture, and songs in the catalog that I like, that I have on repeat. Your Precious Love. I love Your Precious Love, and You're All I Need to Get By are the songs on repeat, as well as Tears at the End of a Love Affair. Those are my records. I'm going to continue to play them. They're going to definitely be in my playlist for sure. I just like those songs. I like them a lot. They are my all-time favorite by this duo. Okay. Um, I can't not go without talking about If This World Were Mine. You know, the song that I like so much by Luther Vandross and Cheryl Lynn. Upon listening to this song, it's a song that, it's Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross can definitely put his signature stank on a song. He can do that. And he does it so well. I found myself comparing not Tammy Terrell's and Marvin Gaye's version to Luther Vandross's version. I found myself comparing yeah, I found myself comparing Tammy Terrell's and Marvin Gaye's version to Luther Vandross and Cheryl Lynn's version. And I found myself doing that because it's such Luther's Vandross is such a great production in the way they sings them. And I'm waiting to see if in fact how similar they are vocally, right? And what I did not like about Marvin Gaye's Love Woke Me Up This Morning, I liked about Tammy Terrell's part in If This World Were Mine. She definitely brought out a sensuality within herself. That song did. And I'm waiting on to see would she sing it in the same style? Was she going to sing it in the same style that Cheryl Lynn? And I'm surprised to see that it's actually Cheryl Lynn who is copying Tammy Terrell's version. And I was like, oh wow, I like this sensual side of Tammy Terrell. But Love Woke Me Up This Morning, I didn't care too much for. I think it's Love Woke Me Up This Morning. Yeah, I didn't care too much for uh, the way Marvin Gaye was singing it, but still, it's a great song. I am definitely reaching the 30-minute mark here. And I would definitely end this by saying that there's still a void. There's still that duet void. And the only one, this is me personally, I know Ashford and Simpson, had that void, but you already know where I'm going. But I think that void was filled by obviously Renee and Angela. They definitely, filled that void, especially with the Street Called Desire album. For me, is when that void was filled again. Some people say, it could have been Kindred, the family. So I never really cared too much for them, their music. Yeah, I don't do neo soul, so I don't care too much for that. But I also think about the group Damien Dame. I don't know if you remember Damien Dame and Dia Dame back in 1989. They were, I think, the first artist signed to LaFace Records, L.A. Reid and Babyface record label. That was the first artist, the first duo signed to that label. And I think that those two were definitely going to fill that void, but it just never really worked out for them either. And of course, Renee and Angela, at the time of their Street Called Desire album, had been released, and they got all the hits they got off that record. It was pretty much, they were no longer working together. Uh, but still avoid in music. Yeah. Well, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. I don't know. It is what it is over here. Uh, that's my take. 30 minutes. That's all I'm gonna give you. Whew. And on that note, if you made it this far, I think it's only appropriate for me to say, hey, hang out with me. Uh, hit the like button and the subscribe button. You know, we're talking about R&B divas over here. We're talking about music, and every now and then I will dish out the dirt on who dropped, kicked who in these entertainment streets, literally and figuratively speaking. But anyway, whew, but also my motto is simple. Put your behind where your heart desires to be. And whenever I leave my mother's presence, she says to me, baby, remember I love you, but God loves you best. I look forward to seeing you next video. And until then, you know what to do. Take care of yourselves out there. All right now.